There is a moment you know too well. You sit down, you know exactly what you need to do. The deadline is close, the pressure is rising. And yet, your hands don't move. Your mind drifts, your heart tightens. And suddenly everything feels more appealing than the one thing you must do. Let me ask you a question. Why do you delay the very things you say you want? Why do you check your phone again? Why do you convince yourself that 5 more minutes is harmless? Why do you feel that strange mix of guilt, stress, and helplessness as time slips away? You promise yourself you'll start tomorrow. Then tomorrow becomes the next day, and the next day becomes a quiet ache in your chest. The painful whisper that says, "What's wrong with me?" But nothing is wrong with you. You are not lazy, you are not weak. You are not broken. You are human. And humans avoid what threatens their sense of safety, even if that threat is invisible, emotional, or imagined. Think about this. There were times you felt motivated, times you were determined, times you said, "Today I'll finally change." But the moment you stood at the edge of action, something inside pulled you back. Something powerful, something ancient, something you never learned to recognize. You procrastinate not because you don't care, but because part of you cares too much. Because taking action feels like stepping into uncertainty. Because finishing something means facing your own judgment. Because starting means confronting the possibility of failure or success. Maybe you delay because deep down you fear not being good enough. Maybe you delay because the task feels too overwhelming. Maybe you delay because the weight of expectations is crushing your confidence. Maybe you delay because life has taught you to protect yourself through avoidance. And yet every time you put something off, you feel the same sting, the same frustration, the same question haunting you at night. Why can't I just start? Everyone around you seems to move. They seem disciplined, focused, driven, and you wonder why your brain doesn't work like theirs. But here is the truth. Your brain is not your enemy. It's doing exactly what it believes will keep you safe. It's defending you, even when what you need is to grow, not hide. If you've ever felt stuck, if you've ever felt ashamed of your own delays, if you've ever looked at your life and whispered, "I'm falling behind," then stay with me. Because in the next moments, we will walk into the real psychology behind your procrastination. Not the shallow explanation people throw around, not the judgment, not the cliches, but the truth. A truth that will make you understand yourself in a way no one ever taught you. A truth that will turn your shame into awareness, your hesitation into clarity, and your guilt into strength. Today, you're going to discover something powerful. Procrastination is not a time problem. It's an emotional problem, and once you understand that, everything changes. This is the beginning. This is your moment. Let's step into it together. Procrastination is not a failure of discipline. It is not a sign that you lack ambition or strength. It is a protective mechanism, one your brain has practiced for years, sometimes your entire life. To understand this, you must see how your mind works beneath the surface. Your brain has one main mission: keep you safe. Not successful, not fulfilled, just safe. And safety to your brain means avoiding discomfort, uncertainty, judgment, and emotional pain. So when you face a task that feels overwhelming, risky, or tied to your sense of worth, your brain responds the only way it knows how. It avoids. This is why you don't procrastinate on easy tasks. This is why you don't procrastinate on things that carry no emotional weight. You procrastinate on the things that matter, the projects that define you, the goals that expose your effort, the dreams that make you vulnerable. Because these tasks trigger something deeper. Sometimes it's the fear of failure. You imagine starting, but what if you're not good enough? What if people judge you? What if the result doesn't match the image you hold in your mind? Your brain senses danger and pulls you away. Sometimes it's the fear of success. You know that finishing means responsibility, pressure, or new expectations. Success can feel like walking into a spotlight you never asked for. Your brain retreats because too much change feels unsafe. Sometimes it's perfectionism. You want the result to be flawless, so starting becomes terrifying. You tell yourself you'll begin when you're ready, when the timing is perfect, when you feel inspired. But that day rarely comes, because perfection is an impossible standard that keeps you frozen. Sometimes it's overwhelm. The task is so big your mind doesn't know where to begin. So instead of taking one small step, you shut down, you avoid. You numb out with scrolling, daydreaming, or doing anything that gives instant relief. And sometimes it's emotional exhaustion. You're not avoiding the task. You're avoiding the weight that life has already placed on your shoulders. You're tired. You're carrying responsibilities no one sees. You're trying so hard in every area of your life that your mind simply collapses when faced with one more expectation. But here is the psychological truth. Procrastination is not a time issue. It is an emotional regulation issue. When a task triggers discomfort, your brain looks for the quickest escape. Checking your phone, watching a video, rearranging your desk. These give you a momentary sense of relief, a small dopamine hit, a feeling of control. You don't do these things because you don't care. You do them because they help you avoid the emotional tension underneath the task. Your brain learns this pattern. It becomes a loop, a habit, a survival strategy, and you repeat it again and again until you start believing there's something wrong with you. But there's nothing wrong with you. Your brain is simply trying to protect you using outdated methods. Think of a smoke detector that goes off not only when there's a fire, but also when you're cooking bacon. It's not broken. It's just oversensitive. Your brain does the same thing. It senses danger in places where you only need courage. It tries to keep you safe in moments where you actually need growth. It holds you back, not because you're incapable, but because you've never learned how to calm the fear beneath your procrastination. And if you've ever wondered why you can help others, give advice, set goals, dream big, but still struggle to act for yourself, the answer is simple. Your mind is wired to protect you from emotional discomfort, not push you toward transformation. But you can change that wiring. You can retrain your brain. You can learn to act even when discomfort rises. You can build a new relationship with fear, pressure, and uncertainty. And when you do, that's when your life begins to shift. Because procrastination is not a personal flaw. It's a message, a signal, a door waiting to be opened. And in the next part, you will discover the breakthrough insight that changes everything. There comes a moment, quiet, heavy, life-changing, when you finally stop asking, "What's wrong with me?" And you begin asking the real question, "What is my procrastination trying to protect me from?" This is the breakthrough. This is where everything shifts. Procrastination is not the enemy. It is a guardian, a shield, a protective instinct that learned long ago to keep you away from emotional pain. It protects you from judgment. It protects you from failure. It protects you from expectations you were never taught to handle. It protects you from the fear of not being enough. And it protects you from the overwhelming pressure of wanting something deeply, but being terrified of losing it. Your procrastination is a younger version of you. A version who didn't have the tools you have now. A version who learned that avoiding discomfort was the only way to survive. A version who still believes you're too fragile to face the weight of your dreams. But you're not that child anymore. You're not that frightened version of yourself. You've grown, you've lived, you've endured. You've survived things far heavier than the tasks you avoid today. Procrastination is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of unprocessed emotion. When you delay, you're not escaping the task. You're escaping the feeling underneath it. The fear, the doubt, the pressure, the invisible expectations, the memories of times you tried and felt embarrassed, the echoes of voices that told you, directly or indirectly, that you weren't capable. But once you understand this, once you truly see it, something powerful happens. You stop fighting yourself, and you start working with yourself. You begin to understand that the moment you freeze is not a failure, it is a message. Your mind is saying, "I'm scared. I don't know how to handle this, help me." And instead of responding with shame, you respond with compassion. You speak to yourself the same way you would speak to someone you love who's struggling. You say, "It's okay to be afraid, and we can still take the next step." This is the shift that changes everything. You don't wait to feel ready. You act with the fear, not after it, because readiness is not something you feel before you start. Readiness is something you build as you move forward. Think about it like walking into the ocean. The water is cold at first. Your body tenses, you hesitate, you want to step back. But the more steps you take, the more your body adjusts. The fear doesn't disappear, you rise above it. That is what taking action feels like. You start before you're comfortable. You begin before the fear leaves. You move even when your heart is uncertain. And eventually, your mind learns a new pattern, a new language, a new belief. It learns that discomfort does not equal danger. It learns that pressure does not equal failure. It learns that starting small is still starting. It learns that one imperfect step is more powerful than 1,000 perfect intentions. You rewire yourself, not through force but through compassion, not through shame but through awareness, not through perfection but through courage. And this is the moment you reclaim your power. The moment you realize that procrastination was never holding you back, it was holding you together. But you don't need that version of protection anymore. You need a different kind. The kind that helps you grow. The kind that pushes you forward. The kind that trusts your strength. This is your turning point. This is the moment you stop running from the task and start running toward the person you're becoming. Because the truth is simple and freeing. You do not overcome procrastination by becoming fearless. You overcome it by becoming braver than your fear. In the final part, you'll step into that bravery. You'll receive the call to action your life has been waiting for. There is a moment in every person's life when they decide they are done hiding from themselves. A moment when they stop letting fear dictate their future. A moment when they choose to act, not because they feel ready, but because they are tired of watching their potential slip through their fingers. And that moment can be today. You don't need a perfect plan. You don't need a sudden burst of motivation. You don't need to erase your fear. You only need one thing, the courage to take one small step forward. Procrastination loses its power the moment you decide to move, even if the movement is tiny. 5 minutes, one paragraph, one page, one decision, one action, because progress is not built on giant leaps. It is built on small, steady steps repeated with heart. Steps that say, I'm scared, but I'm trying. Steps that say, I won't abandon myself this time. You are not behind. You are not slow. You are not failing. You are awakening. Awakening to the truth that your life is shaped not by the moments you feel powerful, but by the moments you choose to act while feeling uncertain. Awakening to the understanding that discipline is not punishment. It is self-respect. Awakening to the realization that you have far more strength inside you than your fears have ever allowed you to see. Imagine your future self for a moment. Not the idealized version you fantasize about, but the version that will exist if you start today. The version who looks back with gratitude because you made a brave, quiet decision to begin. The version who stands taller because you honored your goals instead of your fears. The version who lives with less guilt, less regret, and more peace. That version is waiting for you, not years from now, not someday, but through the next small action you choose to take. You don't have to rewrite your entire life today. You just have to rewrite this moment. Choose to begin. Choose to lean into the discomfort instead of running from it. Choose to replace self-judgment with understanding. Choose to treat yourself like someone worth fighting for, because you are. Let me tell you something powerful. The people you admire, the disciplined ones, the focused ones, the unstoppable ones, are not different from you. They simply learned a truth you're learning right now. Fear is loud at the beginning, but it becomes silent when you move. You have that same ability. You have that same fire. You have that same potential waiting beneath the surface of your hesitation. And from this day forward, when you feel that familiar pull to delay, remember this. Your brain is protecting you from discomfort, not danger. You are safe, you are capable, you are ready. You don't need to win the whole battle today. Just take the next step, and the next, and the next, until the steps you take become the life you live. This is your moment. This is your turning point. This is where the future shifts in your favor. Stand up, breathe deeply, look at the task in front of you and say, I can start. Not tomorrow, not when motivation magically appears, not when fear disappears, but now. Because the life you want will not be built by dreams alone. It will be built by the courage you show in the smallest moments. You are stronger than your doubts. You are bigger than your fear. And you are ready to begin. Now step forward. Your future is waiting for you to choose it.